Out. He goes to Alan Kaidik. Three-point shot is on the way. Bullseye. The guy is so consistent. You can almost smell 2 points or 3 points every time he handles that ball.
And credit that assist.
Hello guys, kamusta po kayong lahat? Sana po ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan and welcome back to my official YouTube channel. Ang video po na ipapakita ko sa inyo ngayon is yung 1985 PBA Third Conference Championship Game. Bali, Game 2 po ito. NCC, yung Northern Cement versus Manila Beer. Kung tataka po kayo, 1985 po, sumali po kami as guest team sa PBA. And luckily, nag-champion po kami dun sa series na yon. And then, ito pong game 2 na to, kaya ko isi-share sa inyo kasi po isa po ito sa magandang game ko. During that time kasi medyo feel ko pa yung role ko sa team. Medyo coming off the bench po tayo. At saka, ayun, kaya memorable po sa akin tong game na to. Kaya sana po ay mag-enjoy kayong panoorin to. But before ko pong ipakita sa inyo, gusto ko lang po sanang mag-shoutout dun sa may napili po akong mga few followers ko sa channel ko na gusto ko lang pong batiin. Si Jason Said, kamusta kayo dyan? Borda Rolon Jose, of course si Alan Puntilla, Peter Paul Ojales, Ronaldin Ereño, Carlito Makalalad, Jonathan Guevara, at saka po si JP. Kamusta kayong lahat at salamat sa suporta nyo. So ito po, sama-sama nating panoorin itong Game 2 ng Championship Series between NCC versus Manila Beer.
Kaidik, 3 points! To be able to win this one. And well, first, they've got to be able to force Northern to play a setup type of basketball game. Second, they've got to slow down the game and maximize Fran Weiss to the hilt. They can't get 100% from Weiss in a running game. Third, they've got to overpower Northern in the wings with Gidaben and Villamin to control those rebounds. And fourthly, they've got to play rugged defense to stop Northern's fast break.
The Jolly Green Giant drawing first blood for NCC. And that basket came after 20 seconds of action. NCC worked very methodically at getting that basket. Here's Abid Gidabin confronted by Ives Dignadice. Atico providing a screen. The baseline. He goes up. The reverse layup. Oh, it was a magnificent drive, but the shot was less than accurate.
Only one attempt from Manila Beer that time.
That was the story last time around.
They're going to call a foul on Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Moore tried to ward off Abid Gidabin as Abid tried to steal the ball from behind.
Earlier we talked about what Manila Beer had to do to win. For Northern, we also came up with a little few pointers, Joe. Firstly, they've got to open up a big lead early by getting the jump on Manila Beer. This has been the tenor of Northern's wins. They've broken out to an early lead in the first quarter, and then they've been able to sustain and breeze throughout the ball game. Second, pressure defense. They've got to exploit the weakness of Manila Beer at the point. Third, take Weiss outside and let Jeff Moore dominate the offensive boards. And fourth, run, run, run.
And run is exactly what both clubs are doing right now, and it's driving me bananas. And here's Samboy Lim towing the stripe off that last foul committed by Abid Gidabin. The score stands dead even at 2-all. A minute and 7 seconds gone by the ball game. Samboy Lim belching fire once again.
Joe, I was thinking that rebounding really is going to be a key factor that will determine the outcome of this ball game. If Northern manages to control those defensive rebounds, then they'll be able to pitch the fast break and score points in transition. On the other hand, Manila Beer has to be able to stop Northern from controlling those boards if they have to slow down the tempo of the ball game.
Fran Weiss with a very futile drive inside, and here's Lim with a piece of chocolate cake.
It's a 2-on-0 fast break by Northern, and they've got really the right intention here. They want to jump to that early lead, and there's backline pressure from Samboy Lim and Hector Calma.
They've always had this penchant for picking up a very, very big lead in the early going, which almost always ensures him the victory at the sound of the final horn. Well, right now, Fran Weiss means to make that a difficult task for them. The man came to the floor tonight to play. Jump shot by Gary Vargas. Didn't even hit the rim. Dennis Still pulling down the defensive rebound for NCC.
Not a good shot there by Gary Vargas. The Northern defense forced Manila Beer to take a shot from the perimeter.
Very poor shot selection. Let's see what happens to this counter fast break. Gary Vargas making up for his earlier error with a dazzling layup. Credit half that basket to Moncruz, who ran that fast break with him so magnificently.
Well, Mon has come to his own here in the third conference. He's been able to shine for Manila Beer, and really at the stage where Manila Beer needs an effective point guard.
That's right. He's come closest to the ideal point guard that Manila Beer had been looking for a long, long time now. Okay, in the meantime, NCC continues to blaze away with both barrels. They're up by 4. That last basket by Jeffrey Moore. He erected a personal high in their last game to the tune of 53 points. Here is Gary Vargas. Hounded by Jeffrey Moore. He goes to the get up and slightly open. He misses. Atoico with the offensive rebound, and he's fouled on the way up.
Well, that time no one boxed Atoy inside the lane. He got the offensive rebound, and now he'll have a chance to put in 2 free throws. Samboy
Lim was the culprit in that piece of action. That's a great matchup. Samboy Lim versus Atoico, the grizzled veteran versus the very promising neophyte. Easily the most celebrated amateur in the land today, and we've said that so many times.
Manila Beer really needs a lot more scoring from Atoico to be able to really jack up their offensive game.
But they're getting their share of the offensive rebounds tonight. Gary Vargas stands as mute testimony to that. He scored, and it's now a 1-point game, 8-7. 9 minutes to go. First quarter, Hec Calma, as usual, quarterbacking for the red shirts of NCC. Moncruz really tightening up on Hector, the liquidator. Samboy Lim, watched by Atoico. They're swinging the ball around. Here's Ibis Dignatice, jump shot of Gary Vargas. That wasn't the greatest shot selection in the world, but there's always the Jolly Green Giant for the rescue.
Again, offensive rebounding by Northern.
And they're up by 3 points, 10-7. Moncruz, they're settling down to a half-court offense. Well, as they did in the previous game, they should not be drawn. They should not allow themselves to be drawn into the running game that NCC is laying out as a bait for them.
Well, we were mentioning earlier, Joe, that for Fran Weiss to be able to deliver for Manila Beer, they've got to be able to slow down the game. He certainly just can't keep up with the fast pace that Northern likes to play.
Vargas jumps on a screen by Abid Gidabin, a tad short, and the ball falls right into the hands of Jeffrey Moore. Very deftly eluding Gary Vargas as he continues to counter down court. He goes all the way to the iron. 5-point lead now for the amateurs. They've got a fair share of the crowd here with the Ultra, no question about that. Listen to the applause every time they convert. Wise. Great shot coming from Fran. Equally loud applause.
Well, Fran's showing that he can hit it also from medium range.
12-9 is the count. Still a very manageable deficit for Manila Beer. Jeffrey Moore almost losing it to Abid Gidabin. He loses it.
They're going to call a 3-second violation on Dennis Still.
Well, either way, they would have lost the leather anyhow.
But credit that miscue to Abed Gidabin. He forced Jeff Moore to think twice about taking that jumper.
Cruz goes to Abed, top of the key against Ibis Dignatice. He uncorks from there with nothing but net. Abed Gidabin is going to shine tonight.
Well, 2 straight perimeter shots there from Manila Beer. That should make Northern's defense play a little more honestly.
And we're back to a 1-point affair. 12-11, 7-17 to go in the first quarter. 2-team fouls for NCC against a solitary foul for Manila Beer. Samboy Lim belching fire again. This time at point-blank range. He lays it in with that very famous finger roll. 14-11. Moncruz orchestrating the offensive for Manila Beer. They're in the yellow shirts. If you're watching this on Color TV, if in black and white, they're in the lighter shade of uniforms. Here's Fran Weiss barreling his way through. The guy means to his wreak havoc tonight on NCC.
And leaving Dennis Still about 5 steps behind him.
14-13. Not going to be a picnic or a lark tonight for NCC. That's how it's appearing in these opening minutes anyway. Atoico just picked up his first personal tonight. And they're just about dead even as far as team fouls are concerned. 2 apiece.
Offensive tactic by Ron Jacobs. They want Samboy Lim to get isolated on one side and drive to the hoop from the baseline.
Another steal of Jeffrey Moore perpetrated by Abid Gidabin. He's going to go for the cookie. Yes, sir. Moncruz very unselfishly gave it to Abid Gidabin. After all, he deserves it. He was the one who engineered that steal.
Fast break basket by Manila Beer, and now they're on top 15-14.
That was a 4-point blitz by the Manila Beer men. And they're serving notice to the NCCs that this is not going to be a replica of the first game last Thursday. It's a goaltending violation by Fran Weiss, but a gallant effort nevertheless, which shows you his hustle and his intensity tonight.
Driving down the middle, Samboy Lim, as you see it there in that slow motion replay. The ball definitely on the way down.
NCC is back in the driver's seat, 16-15. We're almost at the halfway house of the first quarter. Turning out to be a very torrid chapter. Vargas looking for Atoico. Just found him. The turnaround. Beautiful. Off Hector Calma. And he's going to exploit that height mismatch all night. Samboy Lim trying to retaliate for NCC. Loose ball picked up by Moncruz. I wonder if Manila Beer is doing well trying to match the running game of NCC, but let's see if they can get their points. Hitting pay dirt is Gary Vargas.
Northern's defense not able to set up fast enough to be able to stop Manila Beer from scoring those baskets.
Looks like Manila Beer wants to beat NCC at its own game. 19-16 is the count, a 3-point lead for Manila Beer. 5:22 to go. Here's Jeffrey Moore. They had a very sluggish start, but looks like they're in the groove. The Manila Beer men are. Dennis Still, he goes up against Fran Weiss. 6
Looking
points
one
now.
way, going the other. Dennis Still scoring over Fran Weiss.
Moncruz seeing a bridge in that phalanx. He misses a drive towards the basket. Counter pass break in the works for the red shirts of NCC. Pulling up is Jeffrey Moore. Blocked from behind by Gary Vargas. Jeffrey Moore keeps it alive, however. Fresh lease on the basketball for NCC. Here's Samboy Lim quickly to Hector Calma. He takes it off Atoico. Won't go. Gidabin welcomes the ball. NCC is not getting very many offensive rebounds in this game.
And also poor field goal percentage for Northern as far as perimeter shooting is concerned.
Their offensive rebounding might is what really exacted its toll on Manila Beer last Thursday. But right now, neither is Manila Beer getting any second shots. 19-18, 1-point game. Gary Vargas running interference, stopped the Jolly Green Giant from a clear path to the basket, and we've got a first time out of the ball game. Ball, Dennis Still saving it from going into the backcourt. Heck Calma reorchestrating the offensive for NCC. Here's Jeffrey Moore. He jumps against Fran Weiss. Deflected by Fran Weiss right into the hands of Gary Vargas. Diagonal pass. Perfect pitch by Atoico. Here's Fran Weiss. He delivers. Beautiful play.
And Jeff Moore, Dennis Still keeping away from fouls at this early stage.
That was a breathtaking piece of action, which just gave Manila Beer a fresh 3-point lead, 21-18. Exactly 4 minutes left in the first quarter. 2 team fouls apiece. It was a tap out. No, it was a foul. Fran Weiss picking up his first personal tonight. Ives Dignadice inbounding from the right sideline. The liquidator has it against Moncruz. Jeffrey Moore jockeying, but Gidabin is not giving him any breathing room. He's following him all the way to the men's room. Here's Samboy Lim. He misses, still wide off the glass. A terrific battle for the rebound, won by Jeffrey Moore, and he gets his bucket.
Offensive rebounding again by Jeffrey Moore.
21-20, just a 1-point game now for Manila Beer, 3:36 to go. Okay, the Manila Beer men are settling down to their half-court offense. In the left wing, Fran Weiss confronted by the Jolly Green Giant. Samboy Lim joins in a double coverage. Atoico left momentarily open, and he fails to cash in on the opportunity. Gary Vargas with the offensive rebound. They are getting the lion's share of the offensive rebounds tonight. The shoe is on the other foot.
Only yellow shirts that time for the rebound. Gary Vargas cashing in.
23-20. Heck Calma trying to go to Ives Dignadice. Another almost perfect interference there by Gary Vargas,
And
but kept alive.
Northern having difficulty executing its offensive plays. And the real reason is because Moncruz is really bothering Hector Calma. Hector Calma is the orchestrator of the Northern's offense. And if Moncruz continues to stay on top of him, they're going to have difficulty executing.
And Abed Gidabin certainly hit pay dirt in that frontal assault to the basket to up Manila Beer's lead to 5. The biggest lead so far enjoyed by either club. 2 minutes and 42 seconds left first quarter. Heck Calma going to Samboy Lim. Ives Dignadice bangs into Gary Vargas. It's going to be an offensive foul. First personal for Ives Dignadice. Watch that last piece of action again in slow-mo. All right, he had not established position very clearly. And we've got a timeout by Manila Beer. And the reason for that is very obvious. Ramon Cruz had been doing a great defensive job on Heck Calma, preventing him from really orchestrating the offensives of NCC very effectively. Gary Vargas overhead to Atoico. He snaps one of Franz Pumarin, and the ball is in and out right into the hands of Dennis Still. Franz Pumarin beating the sound barrier, and now he cups out. He goes to Alan Kaidik. Three-point shot is on the way. Bullseye. The guy is so consistent. You can almost smell 2 points or 3 points every time he handles that ball.
And credit that assist to Franz Pumaran, who came into the ballgame incidentally to replace Hector. Hector was being bothered by Mon Cruz, and he couldn't really get to play make too effectively with Mon Cruz on top of him. So Ron Jacobs making an offensive switch here. Franz Pumaran taking the place of Hector Calma at the point.
And Gary Vargas continues to shine for Manila Beer. That's his 10th marker tonight. And it's another 4-point advantage for Manila Beer. 1:38 to go. First quarter, Samboy Lim goes on a beeline to the basket. Won't go. And Atoico is called for traveling.
Well, he tried to squeeze in between Samboy Lim and Alan Kaidik there. And he just didn't have enough room to be able to dribble.
So the ball stays on the turf of NCC. Samboy Lim doing the honors from the right sideline. Here's Franz Pumaran confronted by Mon Cruz. And look, Mon Cruz is doing everything he possibly can to distract the playmaker of NCC. So far, he's done one hell of a job. All right, turnaround by the Jolly Green Giant is no good. They're not getting any second attempts. Cruz, he looks around, finds Gary Vargas, the guy with the hot hand. Franz Pumaran consummating a steal. He's going to go for the hole. Got it.
A quick burst of speed there from Franz Pumaran, getting the fast break basket.
Only 54 seconds left in the first quarter. Just a 2-point lead for Manila Beer. Edo Campo cautions his boys to settle down. Here is Atoico. He tried to work it over to Abed Gidabin, but Jeffrey Moore intercepted in midair. And here's the counter fast break in the works, almost broken up. Jeffrey Moore hits the deck along with Abed Gidabin, but Samboy Lim comes up with a garbage and turns it into goal. Jeffrey Moore looks hurt and he's on the floor. Let's watch that last piece of action again. Very painful experience here for Big Jeff. There he is. Oh, he took a very bad slide, and Gidabin accidentally toppled over him, and that's what made matters worse. Certainly, there was no intention of the part of Gidabin to land on top of him.
Absolutely none, but Jeff Moore looks like he's in pain, as we see it again in that slow motion replay. Really nobody's fault. I think Jeff slipped all by himself.
Yes, he slipped by himself, and then because he posed an obstacle to Abed Gidabin, Gidabin fell right on top of him, and that's what really hurt him.
I think Jeff really wanted to pump fake first before taking off for that shot, but as he pumped fake, he lost his footing and fell down, and Abed Gidabin collapsed on top of him.
Well, let's hope he's okay, because there certainly will be a big vacuum for NCC if he's unable to continue. Oh, it looks like he might have to be spelled for a while.
Well, you know, when Jeff Moore gets injured, it's not only the Northern's cause in the PBA that's in jeopardy, but it's also the Philippine cause that's in jeopardy when it goes up against the tough Asian ball clubs.
Hey, look at this tough hombre. Look at
this.
this guy. He's tough as nails. He's right back in harness, looking none the worse for wear. He simply picked himself up, dusted himself up, and is ready to go back to business.
Tremendous athlete, Jeff Moore.
What a trooper. 30 seconds to go. Going past the 30 seconds allotted for that injury timeout. The rule book says 30-second injury timeout. If you exceed that, it's automatically a charged timeout. But if you have already exhausted your quota of timeouts for that particular period, then you get the 90-second timeout, but you are also slapped a technical.
And here's a call that's going to go against Northern. Cranwise driving to the hoop, and Lim being charged the foul on that particular contact situation.
That's a second person along the Dragon, and Samboy is promptly relieved by Elmer Reyes. Mon Cruz inbounding. Here's Abed Gidabin. Abed has been performing extremely well so far tonight for Manila Beer. Here's Mon Cruz.
And they're waiting for the last shot. 15 seconds to go in the quarter.
Very smart ploy on the part of Manila Beer, but let's see if they can hit pay dirt. 7 seconds to go. Mon Cruz anchoring a beautiful passing play. And it's 0 hour for the first quarter. 3-point lead for Manila Beer. We'll be right back. All right, we're 21 seconds into the second quarter. Franz Pumaran tried a birdie. He came to grief, but the ball stays on their backyard. Here's the Jolly Green Giant losing the ball on a tap by Yoyo Villamin. A fresh infusion by Edo Campo during that quarter break. Edo Campo certainly has been husbanding his resources very well for this basketball game. Abed Gidabin played a magnificent first quarter. Now he is resting on the bench in his place. Yoyo Villamin. Here's Danny Still. He draws a double coverage. Alan Kaidik is fouled. Must have been Fritz. It was Fritz Gaston. Only the first personal tonight for Fritz Gaston. It's still a 3-point lead posted on the scoreboard for Manila Beer, and we're 33 seconds into the second quarter when Dr. Tim Cruz blows his whistle on you. On his namesake, Mon Cruz.
Team Coloso coming in to relieve Mon Cruz.
That was only the first personal for Mon Cruz. Team Coloso, they've got a bigger point guard now on the floor. And Franz Pumarin will have a lot more difficulty coping with his counterpart as Dennis Still misses off Fran Weiss. Jeffrey Moore, how did he get that into the hole? I'll never know. He was in too deep, but he managed anyway to stretch his limb and reach for that iron. And he's going to go for a 3-point play at that.
Well, Jeffrey has tentacles for arms, so he was able to stretch out for that offensive rebound and put in the basket. Now he has a chance for a 3-point play.
That guy never runs out of miracles. 3 points is in.
And it's a tied ball game once more. And look at that pressure defense now by Northern.
This is the zone press that almost always works for them, except in instances where the opposing team is able to bring it into open court, and then that gives them a very, very clear path to the hoop. Team Coloso very authoritatively taking charge of the Manila Beer offensive, yelling out, play number 5. Let's find out what it's all about. That's what it's all about. An outside shot taken by Fran Weiss. And Manila Beer is right back into the driver's seat, 32-30, 10:49 to go before the halftime recess. Another beautiful steal perpetrated by Fran Weiss. The action continues, a let-go situation here. Alan Kaitik going up against a double team. Jeffrey Moore has perfect access to the bucket.
Unopposed on the weak side. Jeffrey Moore for a spectacular dunk there.
Once again, they leveled the count at 32 all. Fran Weiss forcing his way and using might and main to get those 2 points. Great performance tonight by Fran Weiss.
Well, Fran Weiss really asserting himself here. He's saying that if you want to stop me, you'll have to bodily take me down. But he's going to get his 2 points just the same. Fran Weiss, an exceptional athlete, showing his wares here.
I think not even a pair of brass knuckles or baseball bats can stop his way to the hoop. You probably will have to use a 105mm howitzer.
Well,
34-32.
he's a steamroller, really. So once he has his eyes on the basket, watch out, you'll have to clear the way. Otherwise, he'll run all over you.
The Jolly Green Giant coming up with his 8th marker tonight.
Back to the basket at that.
And we have the 5th standoff in our hands at 34 all, exactly 10 minutes to go before the halftime break. Fritz Gaston with the ball carrying chores for Manila Beer. Team Coloso works it right back with Fran Weiss. He goes to Gaston. It goes out of bounds. It stays on the turf of Manila Beer. Fritz inbounding to Fran Weiss. The snapshot by the Hulk is no good. Vargas disputing the rebound with Jeffrey Moore, and we've got a loose ball foul.
And Edo Campo continuing with that ploy. They want Fran Weiss to play the outside so that they can draw Dennis Steele outside of the paint. But with Dennis Steele outside the lane, then Jeffrey Moore will still be inside to grab those rebounds. So that'll be a double threat here for Manila Beer.
Definitely. And that last foul was called on Gary Vargas as Alan Kaidik continues with his rampage. He's already got 5 points in the very, very brief span that he's been on the floor.
An instinctive snapshot there by Alan Kaidik. He really didn't have his sights on the basket. He just threw the ball up off the glass.
Right now they're showing the way. No longer was Gary Vargas. Evens matters anew with a beautiful 15-foot jumper. 36 all, 9:14 to go in the first half. Here's Dennis Still. He figures to take on Fran Weiss on a one-on-one basis, but he's called for traveling.
Taking steps for Dennis.
By the way, this coming Thursday night will be the PBA's version of the famous awards night. That's right, it's going to be the 1985 Grosby PBA MVP Awards night. Grosby, the official basketball shoes of the PBA. Team Coloso quickly works it right back to Weiss. He's denied the baseline by Dennis Still, but Dennis is going to be called for that foul. Only the first personal for the Jolly Green Giant, but it will send Fran Weiss to the 15-foot line. Whew. This game is giving me a big appetite. And speaking of appetites, satisfy your appetites at the original Kamayan restaurant. The first and the original. Partake of their sumptuous native dishes like pinaupong manok in Alimanghang. Kamayan restaurant, Pasay Road, Pantrafauta, and it's a Green Hills. 37-36, Manila Beer breaking out of the deadlock. A split by Fran Weiss. Gary Vargas for the offensive rebound. Look at this offensive rebounding might being displayed tonight by Manila Beer. That's almost a cardinal crime for NCC to lose the rebound on a penalty situation.
Well, Gary Vargas has very good ball sense, and that time he knew exactly where the ball was going to fall, as he showed again there in perpetrating that steal.
And here's Team Coloso. They're protecting a 3-point lead. The drop pass. Gaston delivers.
Good execution by Manila Beer.
Manila Beer displaying clockwork precision in its offensive patterns. Here's Alan Caidic. Gaston trying to put the cuffs on him. A very tight pass dished out by Elmer Reyes. Goes out of bounds.
And almost a steal there by Manila Beer.
8 minutes and 18 seconds left in the first half. Very imposing 5-point lead for Manila Beer. Imposing in the light of the rout they suffered only 3 nights ago. Here is Alan Caidic against Fritz Gaston. Tremendous defensive rotation by Manila Beer. Moore takes a jump shot and misses. Villamin. Wise fails to save it for Manila Beer. Actually, they already had half that basketball, but they lost it to the baseline.
Well, as I say, it's better to be aggressive than passive. That time, Fran Weiss trying to hold possession, but lost the ball to the end line.
Ron Jacobs is restlessly shuffling his men. Elmer Reyes and Franz Pumarin have just been relieved. And in their places, we've got Hector Cama back to the orchestra leader's chores and Samboy Lim. Here's Dennis Still working off Fran Weiss at low post, looking for a cutter. And a foul will be called on Gary Vargas.
Already 16 fouls by Manila Beer as against only 1 by Northern with 8:01 to go in the quarter.
That's a situation that NCC will certainly exploit if Manila Beer cannot keep away from its 7th foul. Samboy Lim goes to Hec Calma. Team Coloso. You know, Team Coloso is not half as effective in shackling or watching Hec Calma as Moncruz was, but Dennis Still tried to dunk the ball with 2 hands and got fouled on the way up. That's a 3rd personal for Yoyo Villamin. And Abed Gidabin is immediately dispatched back to the fray by Edo Campo. Edo Campo sends his trouble here with his key player, Villamin, saddled with 3 fouls. (41-36), make that 41-37. 7 minutes and 45 left in the first half.
Not known for his foul shooting ability, Dennis Still puts one in from the free throw line.
It's a split. And Fran Weiss at the inside track on a rebound. Counter pass break being fashioned by Manila Beer. Here's Gary Vargas defying Jeffrey Moore. He misses. Follow up by Team Coloso. Offensive rebounding by Manila Beer. I never saw them with this kind of tenacity off the boards.
A terrific effort there by Team Coloso. He was up in the air for that offensive rebound and in one swift motion put the ball back inside the hoop. Collecting the foul in the process too.
Well, the Manila Beer men are giving the NCCs a dose of their own medicine right in this first half.
Well, they realize that rebounding is going to be a key factor in deciding the outcome of this ball game. So they want to make sure that they play tough rebounding on both ends of the floor.
Well, it's based on plain and simple logic. You don't get any rebounds, you don't get hold of the basketball. You don't get hold of the basketball, you don't get to shoot the ball. Here's Dennis Still. Jeffrey Moore dances inside. And once again, Fran Weiss, that's his 4th steal tonight. The Hulk goes to Team Coloso. He pulls out. All right, let's organize this offensive. Fellows, says he. Here's Fran Weiss, isolated against the Jolly Green Giant. Tremendous, tremendous.
Well, once Fran Weiss gets going, it's going to be very difficult to stop him. He's quicker than Dennis Still, so if he has a good first step on Dennis, he'll be on his way to the basket for 2 points.
Well, I don't know if he's really quicker than Dennis Still, but he's certainly got a lot more muscle. And there's Dennis Still missing on an attempt to retaliate. And there's a scramble for the loose ball. The referee declares it a held ball, so it's going to be a jump. 46-37, a very commanding 9-point lead for Manila Beer. And the key to their success so far has been tenacious hustling rebounding.
And also their defense. Northern Consolidated not able to really execute their offensive patterns too well.
There's the jump. Last touch by Dennis Still. Manila Beer will get the basketball. They're showing the way by 9 points, 46-37 with 6 minutes and 44 left before the halftime break. But one thing that will militate certainly against them with that much time left is the fact that they've already hit team foul trouble. Fran Weiss with a jump shot off Dennis Still. Hector Calma, the littlest guy on the floor, pulling down the defensive rebound. He wastes no time, and haste made waste in that particular piece of action.
Again, a miscue here for Northern, losing the ball at the end line. Dennis Still.
6:21 to go, first half. It's a 10-1 blast by Manila Beer. We've never seen them in such a murderous mood. Gary Vargas snaps one off. Too much muscle behind it, and once again, the smallest guy on the floor comes down with a defensive rebound. Here's Hec Calma, right down the middle. Frontal assault for the basket, does not pay off. And Jeff Brewer once again is held. Gaston is called for the foul. That's his second personal.
Manila Beer going back on defense very quickly that time to stop that transition basket.
Timeout. Ron Jacobs needs this. We'll be right back. Compared to his prodigious 53-point output in game number 1. He splits his charities, and their deficit is down to just 8 points. There's the constricting zone press being applied by the guards of NCC again on the ball carriers of Manila Beer. They finally bring it down court. They go to Abed Kidabin. He challenges the Jolly Green Giant. He misses on a backboard shot, but Wise comes up with the offensive rebound. No doubt about it. Rebounding is the name of this game.
That's right. The second effort there by Manila Beer.
And they're up by 10 points. That's the first double-digit advantage enjoyed by either club tonight as Hec Calma unleashes from 18. That guy is not the liquidator for nothing.
Well, he popped out of that Jeff Moore screen. He found himself wide open for that jumper.
48-40. Still in all, it's a very impressive lead for Manila Beer in the light of that rout they suffered only 3 nights ago. Here is the jump shot by Gary Vargas. He suddenly lost the hot hand. Jeffrey Moore coming down with a defensive rebound. Hec Calma bringing it downtown. Fast break in the works. Alan Kaidik with a southpaw shot. And he's sprawled on the floor. Gaston is going to be called for his third personal. By the way, tonight at Grosby Inside Basketball, join Waki Trillo as he discusses the mechanics of this forthcoming MVP awards right after this match. Alan Kaidik. 6 points now for Alan. And Gary Vargas is relieved by Yoyo Villamin, who is burdened with 3 personals.
Kaidik, incidentally, Joe, has been very consistently scoring in double figures each time both these ball clubs have met in the third conference. Started off with 24 points, then 22, then 21, then 20, and in the last game scored 14 points. Easily one of the most consistent performers for Ron Jacobs in this grueling third conference. Yoyo Villamin, tremendous presence of mind by Yoyo Villamin, saving that ball from going out of bounds. Here is Fran Wise going past Samboy Lim. He misses, but look at him diving for that leather. Samboy Lim has a hard time securing control of it, and Jeffrey Moore brings it downtown leisurely. Dennis still asking for the ball, but he's amply covered by Fran Wise. Samboy Lim against Yoyo Villamin. Alan Kaidik can't find any shooting room against Fritz Gaston. Now he does, and he comes up with an air ball. And look at this, Gidabin battling for the rebound with Jeffrey Moore. It's going to be a jump in front of the NCC basket, and we have a couple of subs coming in. Ives Dignatice replacing Samboy Lim, and Fritz Gaston goes back to the bench. In his place, we've got the cerebral Mon Cruz. And that means bad news for Hector Calma. Oh, he's not going to have very much breathing room, shooting room, or any kind of room whatsoever from here on in. There's the jump, won by Mon Cruz. He boxed out Hector Calma. Here is Steve Coloso. He pulls up the jump shot. He's up, out. Again, offensive rebounding by Manila Beer. Gidabin. 50-42, back to an 8-point lead for the Beer men. Oh, they're back to the floor tonight for game 2 with the vengeance. Jeffrey Moore, and then the game is far from over. We still have 4:11 left in the first half, and Hector Calma continues to be a big thorn on the collective sides of the Manila Beer men. 4 points now. Yoyo Villamin, Van Wise, has been very prolific tonight. He's already got 17 markers to his credit. He goes to position against Dennis Still again. 52-44. And you know, Edo Campo, just to make sure that he has control of both boards, he's got 3 huge frontliners in the ball game at the same time. That's Abet Gidabin, Yoyo Villamin, and Fran Weiss. He wants to make sure that Northern does not gain control of those rebounds because he feels that's one way to stop the Northern fast break.
And NCC is really beginning to cash in on the early team foul trouble that Manila Beer has found itself in. That last foul by Team Coloso just sent Alan Kaidik to the line. And when this guy goes to the stripe, you can just close your eyes and see 2 points on the scoreboard right there for NCC. Now let me see if he's going to make me choke on my words. Thank you, Alan. 52-46. The zone press again of NCC. They finally get it into open court. Here's Abet Gidabin. Yes, sir. That is the big hazard run by that zone press. Once Manila Beer gets it into open court, they were cinched for an easy basket. 54-46, 8-point lead for Manila Beer. They've managed to keep the mighty Northerners at bay with a very tenacious defense as well as rebounding might, but Hekhalma continues to pour it in. That's his 6th consecutive point tonight. 54-48. Baseline drive by Yoyo Villamin. He goes to his partner. They really are getting the lion's share of the offensive rebounds.
They're going to call a foul on Team Coloso.
That's a second personal for Team Coloso. And since it was a loose ball foul, it's going to be take 2 for the offended party as we watch that last piece of action in slow-mo.
As we take a look at it again, Hector Calma had the inside track to grab that ball, but Team Coloso held him at bay.
And this is the guy who is keeping the torch alive for NCC in these very, very downheartening moments for Ron Jacobs.
Well, Calma has really been very offensive-minded lately. In the previous game, he scored 14 points. And in the game between these two clubs, prior to the game a few nights ago, Calma had 24 points. That was the time when he hit free throw after free throw. But still, Northern lost that game 99-93 to Manila Beer.
Well, Hekhalma has engineered a big blitz here by NCC. They've chopped down what once stood as a lofty 10-point lead for Manila Beer to just 4 at this point, and they're having trouble getting it to their front court. Then second clock just caught up with Manila Beer, and this is one time that zone press works splendidly for Ron Jacobs. We've got a timeout. The game clock shows a balance of 2 minutes and 52 seconds in the first half. Still a 4-point lead by Manila Beer. But the momentum is on the side of the NCCs. Here's Alan Kaidik. Hekhalma against Juan Cruz. Inside pass to Dennis Still. Once again, it's broken up by Manila Beer. They've anticipated those inside passes so many times.
Motion offense not working too well for Northern at this stage. So Hector Calma having a difficult time starting to execute those patterns. Manila Beer very quick to anticipate and steal the basketball.
Here's Atoiko. He's open. He misses. But look at him hustling for the offensive rebound and getting fouled by Jeffrey Moore. Second personal for Jeffrey. Sideline inbound to be executed by Moncruz. Time left, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, 4-point lead for Manila Beer. Yoyo Villamin confronted by a spread eagle, Ives Dignadiza. Here's Moncruz acting the role of general. And we have a foul away from the ball.
Dennis Still. Oh no, Hector Calma.
Moncruz will inbound this time right in front of Ron Jacobs and the rest of the brain trust of NCC. Abet Gidabin takes it in against Jeff Moore. Atoiko jockeying for position. Pass telegraphed and anticipated by Jeffrey Moore. Here's Alan Kaidik quickly to Hekhalma. He continues to deliver the goods.
That should be 10 points for Hector Calma, all in this quarter.
He's having a big role tonight. 10 points in this quarter alone. You're absolutely right. And it's just a 2-point lead on the scoreboard there for Manila Beer. 1 minute and 51 to go in the first half. Moncruz. Okay, let's get our bearings back, fellas. We're in the middle of a searing rally by the opposition. Here's Yoyo Villamin. Gidabin setting up a screen for him. The door slammed to his face by Ives Dignadiza, and Alan Kaidik came out of nowhere and commits a foul on Moncruz. That's only his first personal.
You know, there's a mismatch in the matchup. Joe, Atoiko is being shadowed by Hector Calma, and Atoy enjoying at least a 3-inch height advantage.
Definitely. Here is Abet Gidabin. He takes it off Jeffrey Moore. And that backboard shot continues to work wonders for Manila Beer. And that's a very timely hit by Abet Gidabin. It bailed them out of the woods, at least temporarily. And that should squelch the blitz being put up by NCC. They had a 14-4 blast earlier. Hekhalma. That was the first miss tonight for him, if I'm not mistaken.
And no second attempt. No second attempt at Northern, but Moncruz guilty of traveling.
Actually, it was a dribbling error. He moved the ball from one pump to the other. That was a clear error, and Ron Jacobs was the very first one to spot it. Here's Calma. He goes to Alan Kaidig. Shadowed by Atoyko. He makes his move towards the basket. Blocked by Fran Wise. Beautiful defensive duel by Fran Wise. And look at the big guy dribbling that ball all by his lonesome. There's going to be a pushing foul called on the Jolly Green Giant. No, Jeffrey Moore this time. That's his third personal. Watch that last piece of action in slow-mo. Oh, yes, there he was, coming from behind to try and swipe the ball, and in the process, coming into contact. That's their 16th foul, one more, but it's hardly academic with, or it's only academic now with only 44 seconds to go. Here's Fran Wise, he goes up, blocked by Dennis Still. Hector Calma goes to Alan Kaidig, back to Calma. And that is a fast break drawn along classic lines, a beautiful study in basketball for those students watching out there.
Well, unselfish play there by Alan Kaidik. 3-on-1 fast break by Northern that time.
23 seconds left in the first half. 56-54. 2-point lead from Manila Beer. Jeffrey Moore comes up with a brilliant steal. Let's see if he can go all the way. He goes to Calma. Calma snaps it up the corner. Alan Kaidik gets the offensive rebound. He goes back to Jeffrey Moore. There's the equalizer. 56 all with 5 seconds to go.
And the crowd is madly alive.
2 seconds. Moncruz has to put it up now. He does. Gallant effort by Moncruz. But this is standoff at the sound of the halftime horn. We're in for World War III, so you just hang in there. We'll be right back.
So, halftime score po is all 56. At kung makikita nyo, very tight game yung first half namin. For us, NCC team, we want to outrun them. But because of their experience, they managed to take the lead nung first quarter. At saka naging seesaw battle siya hanggang sa mag-tie po kami nung end of the half. So, magandang laban po ito. So, panoorin natin itong second half.
Had the edge, 24-20. In turnovers, also the edge, 12-10. In assists, Manila Beer had the advantage, 11-9. And in fast break points, Northern cashing in on 14 fast break attempts, Manila Beer 10.
Moncruz drawing first blood from Manila Beer in this third quarter. Beautiful steal again. This is the 6th steal tonight for Big Fran Wise. Who can expect this guy's going to be the sultan of swipe for Manila Beer in this encounter? It's 58-56, still 58-56, and Dennis Still suffers a knockdown in that rebound battle. The Jolly Green Giant picking himself up with the help of Gary Vargas. And a loose ball foul is slapped on Gary Vargas as we watch that last piece of blazing action in slow-mo.
You know, we wanted to take this opportunity, Joe, to again talk about really one of the hottest topics in the PBA today, the no harm, no foul. This is not a rule, but actually it's an officiating philosophy. And we'd like to quote from the NBA official rule book concerning this particular philosophy. And that rule book states, and I quote, contact which is incidental to an effort by a player to play an opponent, reach a loose ball, or perform normal defensive or offensive movements should not be considered illegal. In other words, if the contact is incidental and it does not cause any harm one way or the other, it is allowed, it is tolerated by the referees. And that's really the basis for the no harm, no foul philosophy or principle. That way, the referees do not blow their whistles too much, and as a result, the players really are allowed to play their normal game. Furthermore, noted former NBA referee Manny Sokol came up with an observation, and he once said, contact which occurs between two opponents in equally favorable positions to perform normal defensive or offensive movements with no intent or action on either player to violate the rules or show carelessness shall be considered incidental with no foul called. This philosophy means no harm, no foul, or no effect on the game, ignore the contact. And I hope that settles the issue. A lot of fans have been asking about this particular philosophy, and so we thought we'd take some time out here during this game to explain it further. The no harm, no foul principle of the PBA.
That's a very enlightening dissertation, Mr. Henson. And while you were at it, Manila Beer racked up 6 quick points to get back in the driver's seat. 62-56, a minute and a half gone by in the third period. Alan Kaidik goes to Hector Calma at low post. Dennis Still trying to work against the Hulk. A big titanic collision. Nothing there from Dennis Still. Counter pass break. It works for Manila Beer. Cross court to Yoyo Villamin. Beautiful assist by Atoico. And it's back to an 8-point lead for Manila Beer.
And it's an 8-0 blast to start the third period here.
That's right. The NCCs have been held scoreless right from the start of this third quarter. Samboy Lim. Ibis Ignatice. Guarded by Yoyo Villamin. Alan Kaidik goes behind the screen. Calma gets the ball. Moncruz tightens up. It's going to be another foul on Moncruz. It looks pretty bleak for Moncruz. Earlier, he was slapped a technical. Now he just picked up his second personal, but he has been doing a great job on Calma. No question about that. 9:46 to go, third quarter. Very commanding 8-point lead in the wing of an eye erected by Manila Beer. Took them only 2 minutes to get back that 8-point advantage, and Alan Kaidig is called for an offensive foul. That's his second personal tonight. Okay, watch that again in slow-mo. Yes, sir, he really banged the shoulders on a guy who had established position. Gary Vargas, top of the key against, oh, beautiful way to penetrate. That's what you call ripping the lane. And look at this. Barely 2.5 minutes into the third quarter, we have a double-digit advantage for Manila Beer. 66-56, and a drastic situation calls for drastic measures. Ron Jacobs has some drastic substitutions. He's fielding Jerry Codinera and Tonichi Ituri into the fray. And he pulled out Calma, Dignatice, and Dennis Still. Elmer Reyes is likewise being sent back into harness.
And Jen Flor also resting on the bench.
That's right. So Ron Jacobs is settling for his second stringers at this point of the ball game. I wonder what he has in mind.
$11-0 blast to start the third period here from Manila Beer.
Franz Pumarin is quarterbacking for the NCCs. Here's Jerry Codinera. He goes to Tonichi Ituri. The jump shot of Yoyo Villamin. It trickles out, and Gary Vargas uncontested in the rebound for Manila Beer.
And no second attempt by Northern that time.
Well, with his second stringers on the floor, Ron Jacobs can expect a bigger explosion here by Manila Beer. Fran Wise. He's going to try to make mincemeat of that double coverage. Instead, he draws a foul. Jerry Codinera acknowledges his first personal. 67-56. I wish I could read the mind of Ron Jacobs. The explanation for these second stringers now playing with an 11-point deficit. So far, I will have to say categorically that from my viewpoint, the officiating has been impeccable. Well, maybe not perfect. There is no such thing as perfect officiating anywhere in the world, but it's being called on both ends. 69-56, 13-point lead from Manila Beer. Franz Pumarin against Moncruz. Jerry Codinera. He finds Elmer Reyes. Quickly to Alan Kaidik. 3-point shot is on the way. Won't go.
Still Northern can't get it to fall.
That's right. Even their outside shooting has gone sour. Jump shot by Gary Vargas. Too strong. Ball falling right to the hands of Alan Kaidig. And now they're in the middle of another fast break. Foul, Atoico. That's a second personal for Atoico. Time left, 8 minutes and 33 seconds. Bakers doesn't lead from Manila Beer, 69-56. Franz Pumarin against Moncruz. Here's Alan Kaidik, utilizing a pick set up by Jerry Codinera. Ball movement. Elmer Reyes with a pump fake. The drive. The basket.
Penetration by Elmer Reyes that time.
And it chops down the Manila Beer lead to a more manageable 11 points with 8:14 to go. Team foul picture shows NCC with 5 against only 3 for Manila Beer.
And finally breaking the silence there, Northern.
That's right. Here's Atoico making a move of Alan Kaidig. Defensive rotation being displayed by the red shirts. That's a fresh crew on the floor for them. 3-point shot by Atoico. Won't go. Loose ball foul spotted by the baseline ref. Mr. Bayais, or rather Mr. Bisabi, blowing his whistle that time.
And that's the fourth personal on Yoyo Villamin.
Now that's a grim development for Edo Campo. Yoyo Villamin is such a valuable cog in the Manila Beer machine. Now he has to be relieved. In his place, we've got Abit Gidabin. Shows you the measure of the kind of bench that Manila Beer has too. They've got a guy settled with 4 fouls, and a guy of equal prowess comes to fill his shoes. Another beautiful steal perpetrated this time by Gary Vargas. Pass break in the makes, or rather in the works. The cross-court pass. Atoico still can't hit Fader from outside. Score stagnant at 69-58. 11-point lead for NCC. Kaidik. And Mon Cruz is going to be called for his third personal. That was a very obvious foul. Watch that again in slow-mo. At breakneck speed, Alan Kaidik tries to seek the iron to be foiled in midair by Mon Cruz.
Filling the lane, just like what the rule book says, Joe.
This guy has been the most consistent performer for NCC tonight. Alan Kaidik. I haven't seen this guy go on an off night yet. Not in any of the games I've covered, anyway. Well,
he's really the gunner, the heir apparent to Chip Engeland's job of rifling in those perimeter jump shots.
You know, the more flashy player is Samboy Lim, but then he does have a tendency to blow hot and cold. 69-60 is the count. 9-point lead for Manila Beer. Here's Atoico. His rifle too has gone sour. He works it right back to Gotti Vargas. Oh, that was a very bad pass by Ato. They nearly lost it. Vargas jumps from Tauriki, and he's called for traveling. It's going to be a turnover for NCC. And Tim Coloso checks in for Mon Cruz. Simultaneously, a timeout. Franz Pomares succeeding famously with a frontal assault to the basket to chop down the Manila Beer lead to 7 points. Looks like Ron Jacobs is getting a lot more mileage out of his second stringers than his key players who are now being kept on hold for reasons known only to Ron Jacobs. All right, here's a turnaround by Fran Wise. Yes.
Well, a warning for delaying the game there by Fran Wise.
71-62. An appropriate warning has been slapped on Fran Wise for delaying the game. He held onto the ball longer than he should have. 71-62. Baseline drive, Elmer Reyes. He goes up against the triple defense and gets smothered. Jenny Colinera with a third one. Bullseye! And the guy gets a big lot of applause from the NCC fans.
Well, the UE Warrior shining there, Jericho Colinera.
I'm particularly fond of this young man because he happens to be the son of a very good friend of mine, that baseball legend, Filomeno Boy Colinera. 71-64, 7-point lead for Manila Beer. Here is Franz Pomares now orchestrating the offensive. Tony misses a point-blank range, but keeps it alive for NCC.
Might have been intimidated there by Fran White.
Here is Alan Kaidik. A very gutsy penetration draws a foul. You know, I have a feeling that Manila Beer has been lulled into a false sense of security after Ron Jacobs decided to field the second stringers.
That's right. These are the shock troopers of Ron Jacobs now on the floor. And they're holding their own against the first stringers of Manila Beer so far.
Where Dennis Steele, Jeffrey Moore, and company failed, looks like the relievers are succeeding. And here's Alan Kaidik, ever the consistent one. How many times have we said that? By the way, the recipient of tonight's Best Player of the Game award is the Holy Family Clinic and Hospital, which will be receiving 3 cases of Mark Shield rubbing alcohol, the official rubbing alcohol of the PBA. A shade under 6 minutes left in the third quarter. 5-point lead for Manila Beer. Abit draws a double team. Here is Abit working himself out of that bind. He extricated himself out of that pick so magnificently. It's back to a 7-point lead for Manila Beer. Franz Pomares. They're asking for a 3-point shot, but the referee saw it as a 2-point shot. 73-68. Abit Gidabin hits the deck. He took a couple of somersaults. On a very big foul there by Tonichi Ituri. Let's watch that again in slow-mo, shall we?
Taking a tumble there, Abit Gidabin.
All right, they're dead even as far as team fouls are concerned. 6 apiece. Both clubs are on the brink of team foul trouble, and Mon Cruz is back in harness for Manila Beer, replacing Team Coloso. Mon Cruz will be inbounding from the left sideline. Here's Abit Gidabin, a spread eagle to Tonichi Ituri, and he joins in a double team with Jericho Dinera on the halt. Fran Weiss finally finds Atoico. He drives against Elmer Reyes, and they lose it to the baseline. It stays on the curve of Manila Beer. Last touch apparently by Jericho Dinera. All right, inbound pass nearly broken up. One more time round of block for Atoico. Here's Gary Vargas in the 3-point region. Abit Gidabin figures he can take on Tonichi Ituri, and he does. 75-58. Back to a 7-point margin for Manila Beer. 5 minutes and 5 seconds to go.
They're gonna call goaltending on that one. Closer to the play and didn't make the call. I really don't know. I'm just trying to read his thoughts.
Actually, it was declared goaltending, and there was absolutely no reason for him to jump out of his chair. So Abed is the designated hitter for Manila Beer. Ooh, tempers are beginning to get frayed in this ball game.
And it's still a close ball game, 76-70.
Oh, it is. It is a very close contest. Exactly 5 minutes to go, third quarter. Juan Cruz confronted by Alan Kaidik. Atoiko has to contend with Franz Martin. That's a big mismatch right there. Atoiko is a full head taller than Franz Martin. Inside heavy traffic. Abed draws a foul from Kaidik.
They're playing a two-man type of a ball game here. On one side of the lane, Manila Beer playing 2-on-2 basketball with Abed and Atoiko. Now Fran Wise joining in.
Here's Fran Wise using muscle and heft it. And he overpowered Jericho Denera in that sizzling bit of action to make it another 8-point lead for Manila Beer. Elmer Reyes. Okay, traveling.
They're called steps on Elmer Reyes. Taking off on the wrong foot.
That's the Achilles heel of this young man. He's got a great outside shot. He's also got a gutsy penetration, but he can never seem to solve that problem of traveling. Mental lapses. And Atoiko burning hot from the three-point region. And in the wink of an eye, it's an 11-point lead for Manila Beer. Double-digit advantage, 81-17. Jericho Dinera. This is the baptism of fire for this young man. He's standing all of 6'5". And the baseline ref, Dr. Cruz, calls a technical as well as a personal foul.
That's been pretty rough now. Getting a lot of color here.
All right, Dr. Cruz. That was a double block eye for Gary Vargas. A personal foul as well as a technical foul, and let's see exactly what brought that about. All right. The first team of Ron Jacobs is back in town. Dennis Steele, Samboy Lim, Hector Calma. Only Alan Kaidik stays on the floor. He's going to have to take the technical foul shot as well as the personal foul shots. Jeffrey Moore likewise, or did I say that already? By the way, to all PBA fans, prepare yourself for a day of fun and merrymaking with your PBA idols in Pasasalamat ng PBA. A carnival trade fair and variety show to be held at the UL football field on December 15th. This affair is open to the public. It's the PBA's way of saying thank you for all the support given the league during what has been one of its most successful seasons. And this was led out of the bag by Deputy Commissioner Tommy Manolo during that very interesting interview he had with P-Boy Fengs on last Thursday night. Samboy Lim, a preemptive foul given up by Fritz Gaston.
That is what Samboy Lim on the line.
That's right. Both clubs are now over the team foul limit. Time down to exactly 4 minutes. Third quarter. It's a 10-point lead for Manila Beer. Samboy Lim takes those foul shots like he was taking a stroll at the Rizal Park. Absolutely effortless, absolutely pressureless. And look at this swarming zone defense or zone press being put up in the backcourt by NCC. Now they're breaking to open court. That's right. Here's Atoiko. He snaps it up. Bullseye. That's the danger. That kind of a zone press is always fraught with danger.
That time the gamble didn't pay off.
No, it didn't. Back to a 10-point lead from Manila Beer. 83-73. Here's Samboy Lim. Running right into the baseline. The ball going out of bounds in favor of the NCCs.
No harm, no foul, Joe.
Alan Kaidik against Chris Gaston. Give and go play between the Jolly Green Giant and Alan Kaidik. Next than 2 points plus a foul. Possible 3-point play by Alan Kaidik. The guy keeping the head of NCC above water in this contest. He's already got 16 points. Watch him at work in slow-mo.
So using the left hand.
Time down to 3 minutes and 31. Third quarter. Plenty of basketball ahead of us. All of 12 minutes in the final quarter.
Well, actually, he's a southpaw, really.
That's right. He's one of the deadliest southpaws we've seen. Oh. That was a bad pass. Bad pass.
A little bit
Intensity,
frustrated
Rich.
there.
And there you have a close-up of the brain trust of Manila Beer, Dr. Andrew J. Howe, beside him, Edo Campo. Together they work out a magnificent blueprint for game number 2. Alan Kaidig, 3-point shot. Won't go. Not wise at the inside track on a rebound that time. But he lost it to the baseline. Last touch by Wise. Ekama inbounding for NCC. Danny Still hitting the deck on the 5th personal of Fritz Gaston. And there's the fallen green giant picking himself up.
A little bit black and blue now.
That's right.
Nothing deliberate there on the part of Fritz Gaston. He tried to move around the pick set by Dennis Still. Couldn't help himself, but he ran into Dennis Still, forcing him to topple down.
That was a rugged piece of action displayed by Fritz Gaston. And in his place, we got Ed Cordero as Dennis Still is showing us a thing or two about foul shooting. 83-77. NCC once again threatening. The lead has been trimmed down to just 6 points. And here's Fred Wise. They finally bring it past the midcourt line. And Samboy Lim, the 2 Lilliputians practically climbing up the Hulk. And Samboy Lim is called for the foul. We'll be back. The phase of a very spirited rally being put up by the NCC. 84-77. Fran Wise has been playing tremendous basketball tonight. He's already got 26 points, 6 rebounds. And he pulled up at least 5 steals.
And Fran giving the evil eye there to a fan who's been cheering for Northern all night.
That's right. Well, these guys are only human. They can get affected by catcalls and jeers. Samboy Lim put it up against Atorico. Now we got a loose ball call declared by Mr. Ocampo. Abit Kidabin, that's his 3rd personal. Since they're over the limit, it's going to be take 2 for the offended party. Jeffrey Moore, 2 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Score reads 85 for Manila Beer, 77 for NCC.
You know, with the score being the way it is, Joe, who would have thought that in the first game, Northern blew Manila Beer out by over 30 points? So it really goes to show, Joe, that the score in one game really is meaningless once you take a look at the succeeding games. It's just for that one particular game that Northern was able to get the jump on Manila Beer and score a devastating win by 35 points, by about that much. But here we have Manila Beer really coming onto its own and holding his own against Northern.
Fran Wise, he finds Montcruz. 2 minutes and 33 to go. Going on to what you were saying, Ron Jacobs himself put it very aptly when he told his boys after that euphoric victory that it's only one game, fellas. No matter what the winning margin, it's only one victory.
Exactly, and that's really how the Los Angeles Lakers felt in that playoff series that they had with Boston Celtics. When Boston beat them by over 30 points in the first game, and the Lakers came back to win the series 4-2.
85-79, 6-point lead for Manila Beer, 2:22 remaining 3rd quarter. Backcourting as usual for the Redshirts of NCC is Hector Calma. His nemesis Montcruz is right there to confront him. Jeffrey Moore gets away from Abit Kidabin. He stuffed it in with a lot of vengeance. And now we're down to a 4-point game.
That time, no support defense from Manila Beer, allowing Jeff Moore an open entry into the basket.
Montcruz against Samboy Lim. Cruz tries the penetration and it draws a foul as he takes a tumble. Samboy Lim with his 4th personal. He'll send Montcruz to the line for a pair of charities that would once again give Manila Beer some breathing room in the face of another blitz by NCC. Ives Dicarice is checking in for Samboy Lim. Ron Jacobs really hasn't gotten that much mileage out of Samboy Lim, although he did score 10 points. He missed a lot of attempts too. 85-81. Makes that 86-81. What happened here? Somebody tried to pull a fast one. There's supposed to be 2 charities. Montcruz almost forgot about it himself.
He was on his way down court. Probably figured, hey, wait a minute, I have another foul shot to make.
Yeah, I wasn't going for a triple. I didn't score a basket that last time. Okay, 2 for 2 from the line by Montrose. 87-81, 6-point lead for Manila Beer. A minute and 53 to go, third quarter. Calma can't get it over to Jeffrey Moore, who's not recovered. Alan Kaidik uncorks again with that sizzling, picture-perfect 20-footer.
Lead cut down to 4.
87-83. We've got a torrid ball game in our hands. No question about that. Cruz down the middle, inside the paint. Abed Ginabin, very tentative. He can't figure out where to go. He should have taken the shot himself instead of electing to pass inside heavy traffic. And we've got a foul.
Manila Beer giving up the foul in the backcourt. Atoiko.
Third personal for Atoiko.
A lot of fouls being called actually evenly on both clubs, Joe.
That's right. The fouls are being called on both ends of the floor. All told, I honestly believe the referees are doing a good job. And here's Fritz Gaston checking in for Atoiko. Ekalma on the line. A minute and 25 seconds left, third quarter.
Talking about officiating, Joe. The 4 C's in officiating. The referee has to be cool, he has to be competent, in control, and he has to be consistent. The 4 C's in officiating, Joe.
Yes, those are the 4 C's. And he doesn't have to be a cantada, too. That would be a 5th.
Yeah.
All right, 87-85, a 2-point game. Manila Beer, a minute and 15 to go. Here's Ed Cordero. The embattled Manila Beer men.
10 seconds, almost catching up on the Manila Beer squad.
Only 5 seconds now on their shot clock. They got to put it up soon. Here's Fran Wise. He puts it up on top of the key. He put it solid, yes. Tremendous testimony to the magnificent defensive erected by NCC in that particular sequence of action. With 59 seconds to go, they have a chance to equalize matters if they can cash in.
See, that's what happens, Joe, when a team uses the pressure defense.
And listen to that big roar in the background.
If they don't get a steal in the backcourt, then they're able to chop off time from the shooting clock of the opposing team. And before the opposing team knows it, they don't have time left to score.
Ed Cordero misses it with 20-footer of his own. 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. A loose ball foul is declared by the baseline ref.
And they're going to call it against Abed Ginabin.
And that's a bleak development indeed for Manila Beer. That's right. That's his 4th personal in the midst of this 10-4 blast exploded by NCC. And now they have a chance to grab the lead after a long, long uphill climb.
Well, unbelievable reversal here by Northern.
Well, a failure by Alan Kaidik to cash in on these 2 charities will bring the ball game right back to where it was at halftime. A deadlock. Right now, there is a standoff at 87 all. Okay, NCC is back in the lead. And listen to the NCC fans, they're delirious with delight. 32 seconds left, third quarter. 89-87, 2-point advantage for NCC, and there's that zone press again. With only 28 seconds to go, Jeffrey Moore comes out of nowhere to steal the ball. Now they have a chance for a 4-point lead. Here is Hecalma. 19 seconds.
Northern will probably want to set up for the last shot here.
Here's Ives Vitaglice banging into Yoyo Villamil. The finger roll didn't work. Dennis still. He took 2 attempts.
Finally tapping the ball in off the offensive rebound.
5 seconds, still time for Manila Beer to come up with a basket. There's Gary Vargas. Oh! So it's 0 hour for the third quarter. The score 91 for NCC, 87 for Manila Beer. We'll be back. The sound and fury of championship action coming your way straight from the Ultra, and we're now on the final chapter of what promises to be another epic battle here at the 1985 PBA Reinforced Championship Finals. Vitaglice, and they're up by 6 points, possibly 7.
That's a 14-4 blast now. Correction, 15-4 blast by Northern, counting the last few minutes of the third period.
Gary Vargas,
to think, Joe, that at one point, Manila Beer had a 13-point lead in the third period at 69-56.
We'll come back indeed by the red shirts.
And
right
a steal.
now, Here is Jeffrey Moore. He misses. Danny Steele prevailing in the rebound battle.
And they're going to get called for 3 seconds.
That'll be a turnover for Manila Beer.
Scoring by periods, Joe. Manila Beer got the jump on Northern in the first period, 30-27. Then Northern outscored Manila Beer 29-26. And in the third period, Northern again outscored Manila Beer 35-31. The half, incidentally, was a deadlock.
Well, right now, NCC is riding high on a 6-point lead, 93-87. One team foul for Manila Beer, a clean play for NCC, and we're 32 seconds into the fourth and final chapter. Here's Gary Vargas.
We were talking earlier, Joe, about rebounding being a key factor in this game. In the third period alone, Northern consolidated, out-rebounded Manila Beer 13-5. Although Manila Beer outshot Northern 57% from the floor to 48% for Northern.
And thereby lies the tale of this championship series. Rebounding is the key. An elbowing foul is called on Team Coloso. That's his third personal. That's the second team foul for Manila Beer. Still an immaculate play for NCC.
The officials calling it very tight now. They don't want to lose control of this ball game, especially as it goes to its final stretches.
Yves Dignadize got it over to the Jolly Green Giant. Danny Steele providing a screen for Dignadize. He misses, and Guy Vargas amidst a phalanx of giants, he prevails in a rebound. And it goes off the floor. Untimely interference by NCC, but the ball stays in the turf of Manila Beer. 93-89, still a 4-point lead for NCC. Gigantic comeback here by the amateurs. Here is Joey Villamin figuring to take on Dignadize one-on-one. Danny Steele diving for the ball.
Picking up a couple of splinters along the way.
He must have burned his shins that time.
But Edo Campo really has the right idea. In that particular play, Joey Villamin was isolated against Steven Dignadize, and he wanted to exploit that mismatch.
And the perimeter shooting of Manila Beer has gone sour. They're down by 4. Here's Danny Steele. Alan Kaidik with a softball shot. Bullseye.
Coming off the pick there, Alan Kaidik.
23 points for him now. There's no stopping this young man. He's written, but that is a very deceptive frame. He can play very rugged ball, and he has one of the deadliest southpaw shots in the league. 3-point shot by Fran Wise. He made sure he was in the dirty region. That might have cost him the basket. 95-89. Jeffrey Moore. Alan Kaidik again. Still right there for the top end.
Offensive rebounding.
That's right. The offensive rebounding strength of NCC, after being invisible practically in the first half, suddenly manifesting itself and rearing its head here in the final chapter, where it really counts most. 9.5 minutes to go. They didn't take good care of that basketball. This is going to be a piece of chocolate cake. Jeffrey Moore.
A reverse one-handed dunk by Jeffrey Moore, bringing the house down.
And in the wing of an eye.
Manila Beer needs a timeout badly here. And Team Coloso playing it rough. I saw a couple of elbows being thrown there.
That's the fourth personal for Alan Kaidik. Sensational comeback by NCC. We'll be right back. Game clock shows a balance of 9 minutes and 3 seconds in the ball game, and Team Coloso is replaced by Atletico. Baseline inbound to be executed by Montruz. Fran Wise finally has his claws on the leather, confronted by the Jolly Green Giant, and a double team put up by Calma along with Dennis Steele. Results in a beautiful steal by the liquidator, and look at him outsprinting Montruz. Jeffrey Moore trailing behind. Tremendous trail job by Jeffrey Moore, up their lead to 12 points.
And Manila Beer can't afford to lose its cool now. They've got to be able to play good basketball. Atletico being kept in there. Quite a natural reaction for a battle player.
All right, Samuel Lim checks right back into the ball game to replace Alan Kaidik, who gets a big round of applause. He certainly deserves it. That was a 10-2 blast engineered by himself. 101-89.
What Manila Beer has to do here is to take it point by point. They shouldn't be too much in a hurry.
Well, if you ask me, maybe they should settle back down to their half-court offense.
Exactly, Joe. I think what they should do is to slow down the tempo of this ball game. Northern consolidated really here to control now of the pace.
A suicidal drive by Northwest nets him nothing, and here's Jeffrey Moore with his
Again,
defensive rebound.
fast break attack by Northern.
They go to the open man. Hekama, he's no longer open. Even Sigalisa guarded by Yoy Villamina. One more time on the block for the Northerners. They've got 12 seconds in their shot clock. Hekama goes behind it, picks it up by Dennis Hill and misses. Jeffrey Moore, keeping Northern with a little rebound, coming in from behind.
Another offensive rebound by Northern.
103 to 89, and once again the amateurs are threatening to blow the game wide open.
And the Brewmasters not boxing out there on their defensive board.
Out we go, a three-point shot. They needed to score that birdie if only to boost their morale.
Well, a little bit too hasty there from Atletico. What they should do is to execute properly. Take their time, basket for basket.
Jeffrey Moore's guns are not that great tonight, but their offensive rebounding strength is steady here. And the Jolly Green Giant is having a field day. It's showtime for Dennis Hill.
And Northern can't do anything wrong now. Manila Beer has to settle down. There's still 7 minutes to go, and the Brewmasters are not out of it yet.
Well, that's a 16-point deficit staring them in the face, and Fran Wise looks terribly dismayed and frustrated. Well, you can't blame him. He played his guts out, but it looks like a futile cause at this point, although it's premature to say. With 7 minutes and 16 to go, if Manila Beer can just get its act together, pick up their senses, and really play proud, then they still have a chance. We'll be back after this timeout. Ron Rice continues to meet from the outside with 6 minutes and 49 seconds left in the ball game, 178 to 9. And the MCCs are going berserk. They're running amok. They're on a big rampage.
Well, there's an 18-2 blast here by Northern. And Manila Beer really is far from settled here.
Ron Wise brings it all the way to the iron. That was their first shot in a long drought, and missed a long drought, that is. 109 to 91, 18-point lead for NCC, time down to 6 minutes and 23 seconds. What seems like a classic of a ball game during the first half is fast deteriorating into another lopsided man-sized quarter.
Well, the pendulum has swung full cycle, Joe. Can you imagine that Manila Beer had a 13-point lead at one time, and now it's Northern up on top by 16 points.
Lady Luck seems to have completely swung 360 degrees against the Manila Beer men.
You know, there must have been something to that story of Ron Jacobs in the series. You remember, he pulled out all of his starters at the height of an uprising by Manila Beer, and then he sent in his second stringers. And you mentioned that might have lulled the Manila Beer team into a false sense of complacency. And it was at that stage when Ron Jacobs sort of capitalized on his second stringers, kept the Brewmasters at bay, and at the point when the Manila Beer was ready for the taking, that's when he brought back his starters inside the ballgame.
Well, mathematically speaking, it's still possible for Manila Beer to ignite a rally with 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go, but the likelihood of that does not seem very great in the face of a very determined drive for win number 2 on the part of the NCCs. I can see now what is in their minds. They want a clean sweep of this series. And Abed Binamin, that's his fifth personal.
Again, Manila Beer failing to box out Jeff Moore in that rebound play. Jeff Moore had the inside track. He would have gotten the offensive rebound and probably attempted the shot, except Abed Binamin was draped all over him.
All right. Looks like we've got another ceasefire. We'll be right back. Abed Binamin just fouled out. As if Edo Campo did not have enough woes, he just lost his finest forward.
With 4:55 left in the game.
By the way, tonight on PBA Flashback, our topic will touch on all the past rookies of the year. Flashback. This will come your way right after the best player interview and brought to you by Añejo Rum. Jeffrey Moore will have 2 chances from the stripe to sweeten what already seems to be a very formidable lead by NCC. You know, what started out as a very promising evening for Manila Beer is fast turning into another ghastly nightmare.
Well, who would have thought that this would happen, Joe? In the first half, both teams were playing excellent defense against each other. We had a deadlock at halftime. Manila Beer was playing really controlled basketball. They were actually dictating the tempo of the game. And in the third period, they raced to a 13-point lead. But before they knew it, Northern was back in the ball game. They had opened as big a lead as 18 points.
Another steal perpetrated by Kaidig. Palma enjoying every single bite of that piece of cake.
And what's haunting the Manila Beer team right now is its amazing rate of turnovers. And what's causing those turnovers is the tight defense being employed here by Northern.
Well, it seems to me the Manila Beer men have their morale at a very low ebb at this juncture. 4:26 to go. It's a 16-point lead. Mathematically speaking, it's still possible, but Hecalma finds himself in open court. The Jolly Green Giant comes up with a follow-up, and that might very well have done the Manila Brewmasters in. Game number 2 is now safely in the pockets of the amateurs.
Well, again, another second attempt there for Northern.
Fran Weiss, he put a lot of guts, a lot of muscle in that drive, and it was taken out of his hands, batted out of bounds. Here's Gary Vargas. He shoots from the corner, a tad short. They're not getting any more of those rebounds. The Manila Beer men aren't.
Fran Weiss had his most difficult moments in the third conference against Northern. In fact, he scored his conference low 14 points in a game that Northern won over Manila Beer 130-95.
You know, my heart goes out to the Hulk. He let it all hang out. He played his guts out and his butt out in this ball game. And yet, now they find themselves trailing by 20 points. Make that 22.
And right now, Northern can't do anything wrong. They're really on a roll.
With only 3 minutes and 29 seconds left, and a 22-point lead for NCC, I guess you can really chalk this up as win number 2 already for NCC. I can see absolutely no way that Manila Beer can get back at this point. They've already lost Abid Ginabin, and the rest of their players on the floor seem to have been deflated as far as their morals are concerned. 3:25 to go. Moncruz, another suicidal drive by Moncruz. 119-99. 3:17 to go. 5 team fouls for Manila Beer against only 3 for NCC. Here's Joey Villamin tightening up on Jeffrey Moore. The Northerners, after struggling on an uphill climb through 3 quarters, now suddenly are coasting to what seems like a picnic.
Well, they're wasting away the seconds now.
Alan Kaidik keeps sponsoring that hoop like he had a franchise to it. 121-99.
And look who's bringing down the ball for Manila Beer, Fran Weiss himself. He's had difficulty getting the ball inside all night long. So he probably figured I might as well take the ball in all the way by myself.
You sounded like Lionel Richie that time, all night long. 121-101. 3:36 to go. Well, the roar in the background that you can hear is a reflection of the big following gained by NCC in these last several games of theirs. The Cinderella Club, I guess you can call the NCC squad. They seem to be irretrievably on their way to a championship title. And if they can come up with it, it would give them the distinction of being the only amateur club in the world ever to win a professional crown.
Well, certainly a feather in its cap, Joe, but we can't write off Manila Beer too early. It's a best-of-7 series, and I'm sure Northern is going to feel the bumps and bruises along the way, especially when the third game gets off the wrap. And I'm sure the Brewmasters will want to come back from this second game defeat, especially since Edo Campos is really a master tactician, and he'll know how to cope with this Northern fast break. Perhaps in the third game, he'll have a few surprises for us.
Well, I want to make myself clear, Tinito. I'm counting out Manila Beer in this contest, but certainly not from the series. Calva with another beautiful steal, and they just keep going to town. It's grandstand time for the NCCs. Here's Fran Weiss vent all his frustration into that single dunk.
Now, if there's a man who can pull down that backward, there's a man who can hold down that backboard, it's got to be Fran Weiss.
That's right. He's got as much power and strength as Darrell Dawkins, who made that kind of trick famous. Here's Fran Weiss. He's going to go for another one. This time he took it nice and easy. 127 to 105, a minute and 36 to go. It's all over with the final tally. Danny Still showing Fran Weiss that he doesn't have a monopoly on that kind of an act. A minute and 29 remaining in this ball game. 24-point lead for NCC, and we have a deliberate foul slapped on Dennis Still, and he troops out of the hard court. Right, Ron Jacobs is now giving his lesser light some exposure to Jericho Dinena, who saw a brief moment of action during that time that Ron Jacobs decided to field the second stringers, and which, probably contrary to his expectations, managed to keep NCC alive in the ball game. Actually, contrary to the expectations of everybody. Vargas hits from the charity line, but it's all academic now with a minute and 29 to go. 129 to 106. Well, Manila Beer does not have to despair with this imminent loss because we have known a lot of teams to come from 2-0 deficits. A very, very proximate example is the way the World Baseball Series was resolved only recently.
That's right. Remember, it's a long, drawn-out series, best of 7. And I guess experience will be a factor down the stretch. And experience is certainly on the side of Manila Beer against Northern.
Here's Fran Weiss. He's really giving vent to all his frustrations in every single basket he takes at this juncture. 131 to 109. Open shot taken by Alfiel Mario. Even he is getting into the scoring act. Shaping up to be another grand evening for the NCCs.
Birdie by Gary Vargas here.
Well, the puny retaliation in the face of that 21-point lead still being enjoyed by NCC. 48-6 to go. Gary Vargas fields a beautiful outlet pass. He tried to touch the ball in. Boy, that was magnificent the way he displayed his leaping power. But Lady Luck is definitely not on Manila Beer's shoulders tonight. Here is Chris Gaston. He takes a three-point shot. Yes. 133 to 115. Well, at least it looks more like a respectable deficit in comparison to that 37-point winning margin enjoyed by NCC in game number 1. 17 seconds to go. Alfiel Mario, the guy who holds the record in the amateurs for three-point shots. He just blew his opportunity, and here's Gary Vargas. He laid it in gently this time. 133, 117. Elmer Reyes. It's open season now on that basket on both ends of the floor. And the final horn mercifully ends the slaughter, the massacre of the Manila Beer men. That's the second in a row, but I'm still not counting them out. I figure they can still come back in game number 3. And we'll have the post-mortem on this game as well as our choice of the best player right after this.
So guys, we won this game 133 to 117. Medyo nag-press po kami nung second half. Although medyo dikit pa rin ang laban ng third quarter, but eventually bumigay na po yung Manila Beer because of our quickness at saka yung pagpe-press nga namin, na-dominate po namin yung second half. And for us to win that game 2. Alam niyo po, na-sweep po namin tong series na to and we won this title na to, itong third conference champion po ang NCC. And napakaganda pong napakagandang experience for us para po doon, sabi ko nga kasi this is a preparation for us doon sa ABC na sasalihan namin. And nakadagdag po ng ng confidence sa amin itong pagkakapanalo na ito. Ay ayun po, nagtuloy-tuloy na siya all the way hanggang sa international. Naging maganda na po yung gelling ng team namin. So yun po, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. So guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell for more updates. And iniimbitahan ko po kayo next episode ko. Watch out for it. It's one of the most requested videos. So excited na po akong i-share sa inyo yan. Kita-kits, guys!